Thank you very much for being with us on this Tuesday evening. We're delighted this evening to welcome Dr. Alan Stern as our very special guest to Space Oddities. How are you, Alan?
Andy, I'm doing well. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, thank you for being here. It's so great to have you here because it is, as we've been telling our viewers over the last couple of weeks, 20 years since the launch of New Horizons. And if I might use the phrase, Alan, the spacecraft was your baby. So we're lovely to have you here to talk about it. We'll have a chat in a moment. Just let me go through the usual stuff. I hope everybody's okay. Let's have a look in the chat, see who we've got in this evening. Oh, my chat isn't updating for some reason, but never mind. Welcome, viewers. Hope you all had a great week, as always. And joined this evening by the usual suspects, Michael and Roger and Daz and Dave and Lou and myself. And we're going to be chatting to Alan in a moment, but let's get the usual stuff out of the way. If you would like to support Space Oddities, you can, of course, buy us a coffee. You can scan the QR code here, or you can click the link that's just appeared in the chat. And astronomers' lives matter, and we do need our caffeine levels replenishing regularly. So that link will take you to the Buy Me a Coffee page, as you probably know by now, where you can buy us caffeine. Big thank you to Stuart, who invested in an enormous amount of caffeine for us last week. So thank you very much, Stuart, for that. You can also, of course, head over to the Space Oddities shop. In the middle of winter, you might want to buy yourself a glorious Space Oddities hoodie. It's starting at £40, including postage and packing in the UK. If you're ordering from outside the UK, please add £10 to the total value of your order. But of course, summer is coming inevitably, so you'll probably want to go along with that, a Space Oddities t-shirt as well, £20, including UK postage and packing. And we hope you will be the first kid on your block to wear our glorious merchandise and be the envy of all your friends and family. So there we are. Thank you for all of your gallery entries. We'll be obviously returning to the gallery later. And we've got the usual features tonight. We've got Constellation of the Week, Einstein of the Week, and Night Sky and Gallery. And of course, Dave's wonderful look back in history to what was happening this week in terms of planetary exploration in times gone by. So there we are. Okay. So Alan, let's just start by just, if we may, taking you back 20 years in time to a day I'm sure you absolutely remember.
15 seconds. 11 seconds. 10.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have a
There we go. I can see it.
So that was the launch of New Horizons. I mean, I'm not going to ask you what you were feeling on that day, because I think we can all imagine what you were feeling on that day. How do you feel looking back on it now, though?
Well, the first thing I thought about when I'm watching that video is how you just can't appreciate when you see it on a small screen. You know, something the size of a downtown London skyscraper. Take off from a launch pad, go supersonic as it travels vertically in under 30 seconds, and then put itself on a trajectory that reached the moon in just 9 hours. It just looks like a little something in a screen on there, but it's really this enormous multi-million pound machine.
Yeah.
And that was the start of a journey all the way across the solar system that's revolutionized science and inspired a lot of people to STEM education careers, and been the highlight, I think it's fair to say, of the careers of the New Horizons team. People say that all the time on this team, that it's the best project I ever worked on, the most exciting, the most memorable. And I say that myself.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, and it was a perfect, flawless launch. And I mean, I remember it very well. You know, there were times, as I'm sure you will appreciate, that, you know, when I was signing various petitions on the internet to get the mission approved and on its way, and I was telling all my friends, you know, even if you're not interested in exploring space, please sign this petition because it's important. And
well, thank you. That helped a lot.
Yeah,
we had a lot
actually,
of difficulty getting going, and the public interest really helped put it over the top.
Yeah, I think I sent it because, you know, it was the internet wasn't as, if you like, popular as it was then. And I had about 30 friends in my address book, and I sent them all an email beseeching them to sign it. And when I checked afterwards, not one of them had. So I think I have the wrong friends.
That's all right. I think my mom made up for all 30 of them. I don't know how many times she signed it.
So then the spacecraft then, cut a long story short, the spacecraft eventually went into hibernation for several years, and obviously you were checking in on it regularly to make sure everything was still working. And then it came, of course, to that glorious time in 2015, and there was this video that I think NASA did, which is the approach video to Pluto. And this is absolutely lovely, I think. Let's just have a look at this. And of course, this was the first time that we had a look at what Pluto actually looked like as it slowly got bigger and bigger in the spacecraft's camera. And you know, this was a first in so many ways, because obviously all we had up to then was that pixelated image from Hubble of not showing you very much of Pluto. And then this magical world appeared before our eyes that nobody, I think, had expected. What did you actually expect to see, Alan, if anything? Or did you not know?
Well, you know, the lesson of planetary science for all of the explorations from the very earliest flybys of Mars and Venus all the way across the solar system is that we never get it right with our predictions. We never get it right. And I challenged my team to try to get the last one right with all the perspective of having explored Mercury to Neptune. And we failed. We have lots of expectations that came true, but Pluto was much better than any of us thought in terms of its diversity of terrains and its obvious complexity, and really just its sheer beauty. I like to say the solar system saved the best for last.
Yes, indeed. And I think the beauty of it is absolutely stunning. I mean, one of my favorite, if you like, astro images of all time is that sunset shot of Pluto.
It's haunting, isn't it? Because you can even see corpuscular rays like we see here in Colorado, and you may see in Spain with the sunbeams through the mountains. And just to think of mountain ranges in the Kuiper Belt alone is stunning, but to see the sun shining through them, illuminated by the fine particulates, the haze particles in Pluto's atmosphere, is really special. And it brought a certain familiarity to a very alien place.
And Alan, of course, you just can't say enough about the discoveries in the Pluto system. But before Pluto, there was a Jupiter flyby, where in 2007, and you took New Horizons took a lot of high-resolution images of Jupiter and I think Io, right?
We did study Io. Yeah, so the purpose of that flyby was threefold. The crucial purpose was to target the Pluto flyby with a gravity assist. That shaved 4 years off the trajectory and put us on the right asymptote to go to Pluto. not somewhere else. The second was a flight test, because Jupiter was the only thing we passed along the way. And as I said, when we get to Pluto, we want to only make discoveries about the Pluto system. We don't want to make any discoveries about our spacecraft at Pluto. So let's make all those discoveries at Jupiter. Let's work out the kinks. And we did that. And then also we conducted 700, and it's not an exaggerated number, 700 scientific observations of Jupiter and its magnetosphere, its satellites, and rings, using all 7 scientific instruments. So there was a very large scientific bounty in addition to the flyby and the flight test.
Okay. Well, viewers, if you have any questions for Alan, please do not hesitate to put them in the chat. We've already got one from Heidi, and Heidi says, what can we gain from Pluto?
Well, what can we gain from Pluto? Geez, I'm reminded of the saying, what good is a new baby, right? Right? It's you can answer that question many ways. And in the case of Pluto, we learned an enormous amount about not just the Pluto system, but about this whole new class of planets called dwarf planets, because we'd never sent a spacecraft to one in the Kuiper Belt. We learned a great deal about the Kuiper Belt and about the origin of our solar system. We saw new phenomena that had never been seen before. But beyond that, we learned for the first time in a generation just how exciting raw exploration is to the public around the world. It had been since 1989 with Voyager 2 since a spacecraft had been to a new planet. And here you go with Pluto. We had the largest internet event for the public that NASA had ever seen, ever, and was on the cover of 450 something newspapers, front page the next morning. So beyond the scientific benefit and the prestige benefit for NASA and the United States taxpayer of having been first to all the planets, was just the enthusiasm from young to old that it generated. We live in a time when we're so pessimistic about ourselves, and we know all the problems that we have, strifes. It's nice to see people doing something that's purely good and that's larger than life, and it will mark our time in history. Apollo did that, and in a way, New Horizons did that in the 2010s. And I'm very proud of that. And I think our team is very proud of the impact that we made on people beyond the science.
Yeah. And the thing is, I'm sure like all of us, you were touched with sadness that we knew when New Horizons left Pluto, we would never see it again in our lifetimes, probably.
So it's a little bittersweet.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that spacecraft will return to the Pluto system and follow up. In fact, the New Horizons team put together a time capsule with mementos from the first exploration of Pluto. It's locked in a box at Lowell Observatory in Flagstaff, Arizona, where Pluto was discovered,
Of course, yeah.
with instructions to be opened when the first orbiter mission arrives.
That's very cool.
Brilliant. Well,
Alan, can I just ask Alan, talking of an orbital mission, is there one planned? Is there a mission going to be an orbital mission coming up?
Not yet. The United States is the only space agency that's been able to explore the deep outer solar system. But I'm sure that with so many space agencies and now so many private companies reaching out into the solar system, that there are going to be a lot more capability in the 21st century than there ever was at the time New Horizons launched. And although no mission is yet being funded or built, I suspect that we will have orbiters and landers and probably someday human expeditions to Pluto.
Oh, wow.
Fantastic. And of course, with the new technologies, the new plans for nuclear propulsion, we may be able to, before too long, get a spacecraft to Pluto much faster as well.
Yeah.
Well, that's right. In fact, I am helping a company called Helicity Space based near Caltech in Southern California that's working on a fusion drive that could reach Pluto in just over a year.
Oh, wow.
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 Yeah.
And by the way, could come to a stop, do an orbiter mission, put a lander down, grab a sample, and come back in another year.
Wow.
How's that? And then we can go back and forth every couple of years.
Wow. Oh, God, if only that could happen. You probably gather, Alan, because of my own mortality, I'm clutching at straws here.
Yeah.
I just want to see Pluto again. And of course, we only really saw one hemisphere of Pluto.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
Yeah, you're right. The far side, so-called far side, that we were only able to last glimpse 3 days from closest approach, we don't know it much better than a view of the Earth's moon with garden variety binoculars.
Yeah.
And we know that it's very different than the side that we flew by. It's tantalizing.
Yeah.
And when we get an orbiter there, we're going to, I'm sure, find many discoveries there that will surprise us as well. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, because here is the far side, obviously.
The far side in your illustration there is everything below that white line.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's right. And I remember as New Horizons approached, there looked what seemed to be 4 evenly spaced dark splodges around the equator. And I was thinking, what the hell are they? It just seemed absolutely wild.
So now you see they're not quite identical, even though they look that way on approach. We call them the brass knuckles.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but they're not brass and they're not knuckles. So
No.
That was just a colloquial term. But you see them along the equator there. I can't use the pointer, but they're stretching across the entire hemisphere or the far side with some intruding white material. And we don't have enough resolution to really know what's going on there. But we see big black dark terrain to the right and left of the far side, which we did see in high resolution. And what we expect is that the terrain that's on the far side is quite analogous to the stuff that we saw on the near side that looks like it at low resolution.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Well, there's another question now. Daz has had to drop out, unfortunately, because, his video's dropped out, basically. He's been having problems with his video the last couple of weeks. So he has put a question in the chat for you, Alan, and that is, how terrifying was the loss of contact in New Horizons 10 days out from Pluto?
It was completely terrifying until we fixed it. When you fly a mission that's flawless for north of 3,200 days, and then with 10 days to go, you completely lose contact unexpectedly. That's about it. I think my heart went about as fast that day as it will ever go. It got my attention, but our mission operations and engineering team got their arms around it and rescued the spacecraft in the timeline in fast order.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
Oh, dear.
We've lost communication. Only 10 days out.
Yeah. We've lost your video, by the way, Dave. I don't know whether you know.
Oh, you've lost because my background disappeared, my virtual background. But I see myself on your screen with the rest of you, but you don't see me again. This has happened to me before. All right, I'm going to try to turn it off and on again, but I don't know.
Alan can hear you. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, there's Alan. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm back.
Yes, we are talking about loss of communication 10 days out from Pluto, and you had a loss of
communication.
Yeah, I see. I think I've had a little bit of a computer glitch. Give me just a moment.
Certainly.
Let me. I don't know this app very well, so let's just talk on audio while I'm working with the cameras.
Okay.
Go right ahead.
So I'm going to pass you just one question, final question from me, Alan. It's probably a difficult question, but what do you think is the most significant science to come out of New Horizons? What have we learned since New Horizons that you think is really, really important?
Well, I think the most important thing is that we Pluto defied paradigm and showed us that very small planets can be as active and as complicated as big ones. And before the flyby of Pluto, that was not thought to be the case. There was a general rule of thumb that as objects got smaller and smaller, that they were simpler and less active. A good example is the Earth is very complex and very active, and the Earth's moon, which is much smaller, is much less so of both. Pluto's still smaller than the Earth's moon by a little, but dramatically more active and dramatically more complex than the moon. And that surprised us greatly. It defied all paradigm. And people say that it rewrote the textbooks. I like to say, look, Pluto just apparently doesn't read the textbooks. It doesn't care to write in a book, right? It's just going to do what it does.
Sure.
Yeah.
And
well, that's what I talked about last week, and that was going to be my main question was what any ideas what's going on, Alan? I mean, it just doesn't seem like it should be doing that.
Well,
so where's the heat coming from? Where's the energy coming from?
Yeah.
If I knew, I would have published that, and then you would know about it too. But unfortunately, we don't know. We have a lot of ideas, but no one is really sure which idea is right. My favorite is that the interior ocean, the liquid water ocean beneath Pluto's surface, that we have pretty strong circumstantial evidence for, is powering the geology by slowly freezing and releasing latent heats. I don't know if that's right. No one knows what idea is right, but that's my favorite. We'll see what it is when we send an orbiter.
Absolutely. I mean, I always say, and I'll probably go on about this a bit too much, but for me, one of the big lessons of exploring the outer solar system has been the fact that worlds that should be considered dead and lifeless and lacking energy are not. They're dynamic. There are processes going on. They're living worlds. And of course, we had the first real indication of that, I think, when Voyager flew past Triton, and we saw those geysers on Triton, that activity that nobody expected that far from the sun. And then, we got to Pluto and we found exactly the same thing, but far more interesting. So I think that's been the lesson of the exploration for me of the outer solar system, that these worlds are not lifeless balls of ice. They're dynamic and living. And it's been quite a revelation, I think.
Well, I agree with you completely. And it's a good thing we had the exploration of Pluto, because we wouldn't have known this.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, Lou, Roger, Dave, any questions?
Well, I was most intrigued by the discovery of the exchange of atmosphere between Pluto and, do you say Charon or Charon? How is that? What is it?
You can say it either way. Most Americans say Charon.
And that you can see this material actually on the surface of the moon. I guess UV from the sun gives it that kind of reddish color.
We were theorizing about this as early as 1990 in published work, because they're a very close binary planet. There should be Roche lobe flow from the escape, and that some material would accrete onto Charon and would preferentially stick at the coldest places, which are the poles. And then, lo and behold, when we got there, that's exactly what we discovered is going on. And it's the first example in our solar system, or really anywhere, of material transfer of that scale between two co-orbiting planets.
Is it thought that they formed together, as opposed to
that they formed? Well, Pluto formed and was impacted, much like the Earth, by another Kuiper Belt planet, which then spalled off material from Pluto into orbit around Pluto, causing the formation of the satellite Charon from that ejecta.
So very similar to Earth.
Earth Moon, very similar. Yes.
Interesting. So looking back at the actual flyby itself, Alan, is maybe a bit of a silly question. Is there anything you would have done differently, or did everything that you wanted to happen happen?
Well, hindsight's always 2020,
Yeah,
right?
of course.
Right. I think I would have built a spacecraft with a bigger fuel tank, so we could have more Kuiper belt flybys. But we were really right at the limit of the launch vehicle's capability. So that's kind of a pipe dream. In retrospect, I think we did a great job of anticipating what the right instruments to bring, the right spacecraft capabilities. We flew over the right part of the planet, and I think we did more in a first flyby scientifically, more diversity of observations, higher resolution, more volume of data by 2 orders of magnitude than any other planetary first flyby.
Yeah.
So sure, if we go back, I would take other instruments and stay longer, see other parts of the planet, see the satellites from different perspectives. But I don't think I would go back and change anything we did.
Right.
And you kind of pulled a Pluto mission, you might say, out of the dumpster. There were plans to have a mission before New Horizons, right? But they were canceled by Congress.
Well, there were 5 attempts to get a Pluto mission before New Horizons. None of them got as far as being canceled by Congress, but all 5 were canceled by NASA itself because they were either mismanaged or they got out of control on cost. And at one point in the year 2000, the head of science at NASA said that we're canceling this Pluto mission. It's got completely out of control, and we're never going to talk about it anymore. Pluto is dead, dead, dead. And that's exactly what he said. He said the word dead 3 times. Within 90 days, there was such a public and scientific response that we forced NASA's hand into trying again, but this time competing the mission so that any institution could do those. And ours, our team, the Southwest Research Institute and the Johns Hopkins Applied Physics Lab, were the winners in that proposal process. As the mission leader, what I told our team when we won is, this is exactly like what happened in May of 1961 when Kennedy told NASA, I want you to go to the moon. The head of NASA, James Webb, called his staff together and said that afternoon, well, guys, we got what we asked for. Now what do we do? And I said, that's the case. We have won this thing, and we are never going to let it go. And this is not going to be another mission that gets canceled because it's overrun or late or mismanaged. We are going to get this to the launch pad and across the solar system. And that's what that team of people did. And so there's a long littered trail of Pluto missions that never were. New Horizons had just the right magic to actually make it all happen.
Wow. There's another question from Daz in the chat here, I see. How did Senator Mikulski and Todd May contribute?
How do what?
How did Senator Mikulski and Todd May contribute to the mission?
Each mightily, in different ways. Senator Barbara Mikulski was a powerful champion for the funding of this mission, and she was head of the Appropriations Committee for NASA. And she overruled the U.S. presidential administration of the day with a vote in the Senate that resulted in New Horizons being funded. And she stuck with that. So we owe her everything for that tour de force. Todd May was the head of NASA's office down at the Marshall Space Flight Center that was tasked with managing our project for NASA. And because Senator Mikulski and the New Horizons team had forced the funding over the objection of the then Bush administration, there was a fair amount of benign neglect. And as we ran through the design and development, we were really very much on our own in ways that most NASA missions aren't. And eventually we reached some problems that we couldn't solve on our own, that we needed the agency and the federal government to fix, particularly to do with nuclear launch approval, but also some other things. And Todd May convinced NASA that they needed to pick the ball up and do that. And as a result, all of our problems were solved. And I'm talking to you today about a successful Pluto mission.
Amazing, amazing. And if you want to know the full story of how the New Horizons mission ended up happening, then I'm going to do it again. What I'm going to do, I'm going to plug, of course, Alan's book, Chasing New Horizons, inside the epic first mission to Pluto. This is a really, really good read. I thoroughly recommend it. I enjoyed every moment. And if you want to find out exactly what happened to get New Horizons to Pluto and how Alan and his colleagues fought tirelessly to make it happen, then this is available on Amazon and everywhere you buy books, basically. So
thanks for the plug, Andy. David and
that's
I
all right.
worked very hard on that book. It took 2 years to write it.
Our viewers are going to get fed up with me plugging this book, I tell you. But it is a fantastic book, and I did enjoy it so much. And I've read it about 3 times.
That project, my 100 Lost Weekends.
Yeah, so that I thoroughly recommend that. And Alan's not paying me to say that, by the way. It's a genuinely fantastic read. So
I'd like to say, Alan, that going back to the Lowell Observatory, I actually visited there in 2017. Was on holiday in America. Absolutely amazing place. Used the refractor telescope as well to look at Saturn at the time. Good trip.
Yeah. It is an amazing place, a very special place, and of course, it's where Pluto was discovered.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay. Derek is suggesting that we offer Alan's book as a prize in our next quiz. So that's a good idea. We shall certainly look into that.
Yeah.
I just bought it. It's just in the time between the.
Great. So there we are. Thank you for that suggestion, Derek. We will take that under advisement, as they say. So in terms of the science going forward, Alan, how much more science is going to come out of that New Horizons data? How many years study do you think you have left before you say we found out everything we can from the data, or is it impossible to estimate?
I think it's impossible to tell. I would say that surely the majority of the science has already resulted. But just like many missions, Voyager is a good example. There's a long tail. Whereas we develop new software, new algorithms and techniques to analyze data. And AI and machine learning would be examples of that we're going to be able to go back and data mine and learn things about what's in the data that we never expected. Voyager flew by Neptune, discovered a couple of moons in 1989, 1990 with the initial data analysis. And 2 decades later, new moons were being pulled out of the data that had not been seen in the initial analyses. That's just one example. But in addition, as we move forward in time, the scientific modelers can do a better and better job of representing the planet and all of its satellites and the physics and chemistry that's going on there. And that continues to yield new insights about the climate and the atmosphere and the geology, and even how the satellites and the planet were formed. So I think we're a long way from getting to the bottom of what New Horizons is going to yield scientifically.
Oh, let's hope so, because it's wonderful to read new stuff coming out of mission. It's amazing. And as a comparison, just this week there's been quite a major announcement about Europa that has come out of re-examining Galileo data. That's how old the data is, and they've made a discovery from the Galileo data that nobody expected. So let's hope that discoveries keep coming out of New Horizons for many years to come, because I think everybody is just so in love with that little world, and how much, if you like, personality Pluto has. That it's so varied and dynamic, and things going on that don't make much sense. And as you said, where's the energy coming from? It's amazing. So I hope we get to hear many new things about Pluto in the years to come.
I think it's done as much for outreach and PR for the space program as it's done for the science discovery. I can't give a talk anywhere without people asking about Pluto, and Pluto, is it a planet, this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Certainly a lot of the discoveries of New Horizons, the heart on Pluto and so on.
Yeah. I think people are fascinated, simply because it's so far away, and that, we never really expected to see a world that far away. Well, not in our lifetimes anyway, and look at it in detail. And just to look at the sheer quality of the imaging that came out of Pluto, it's absolutely stunning how all the exposures. I mean, there's a lot of raw data, obviously, so we're only seeing the processed images, but it was a towering photographic achievement, in my opinion, in the same way that Voyager has been, just to get the exposures right and to show us so much detail. And with the cameras that are on New Horizons being so much better than something like Voyager, and to get that level of resolution and that detail, and to give us such haunting images, I think is absolutely unbelievable. So
I agree with you, and it's really the result of 2,500 men and women dedicating a big part of their career to making this successful, and leaving no stone unturned to do that, working quite literally 24/7 to get it to the launch pad and to fly it across the solar system.
Sure. It was a towering achievement. Okay, guys, before we wrap up, any final questions for Alan, Lou, Dave, Michael? I don't see Michael. Are you still here, Michael?
I am still here.
Oh, okay. Oh, can't see you.
Well, Alan, George Wetherell, with all his great accomplishments, told me that really the most amazing moment of his career was when Mariner 10 first reached Mercury, and he said he saw a new world for the very first time that anyone had ever seen it. So I was wondering what it was like for you. I mean, just seeing, here's a planet or a world or whatever, and we've never really seen it before, and now you're seeing it for the first time. Was that the moment?
It was incredibly gratifying. I was too young to be involved in the early explorations of the terrestrial planets in the middle solar system, giant planets. I was only in grad school just as Voyager was finishing, and not a part of the Voyager team. And because I've been equally interested in science and exploration, I was very interested in seeing the exploration of Pluto. I often called it the last train to Clarksville, that it was the last first that there would be in the general opening of the solar system, so reconnaissance. And to be a part of that was just a dream come true. And on the day that we saw the first high resolution images, I thought, boy, Pluto is over-delivered. But I think the overriding memories that I have of that success that day, when it became obvious everything we wanted had worked out, was the emotion of the team of people who worked so hard. And to see them see it succeed after they worked on it, in anonymity for 15 years on a one-shot flyby with no chance to go back and have a redo, and to see it come true for all of them, it was the highlight for me, even more so than the science, and the way that it impacted my team and the people out there in the world who got to participate vicariously in the farthest exploration of worlds in history. It was just amazing. And it was as much an emotional experience as it was a scientific success.
Yeah, indeed. Well, on behalf of all of us, Alan, and many, many people around the world, we obviously would all like to say thank you from the bottom of our hearts for everything that you and your team did to give us that wonderful flyby of Pluto, and Arakoth as well. I mean, let's not forget Arakoth.
Yes.
Here to Arakoth, that was pretty spectacular too, and we owe a lot of that thanks ultimately to the American taxpayer who supported the exploration of space now for seven 7 decades, and
Yeah.
it's something that I think that my country and our time will be known for 1,000 years from now, and that's pretty amazing.
Absolutely. Well, viewers, Alan has to leave us shortly because he has to be elsewhere. So if you've got any final questions for Alan, please put them in the chat now. In the meantime, Alan, just to finish, a very short video, which is again beautiful. Pluto's dark side. And there we are. And Pluto fades into the darkness after the flyby. Which
That's such a wonderful video, and you know, I can't help but think how we left the blue planet Earth and traveled literally across the solar system in 3 billion miles to find the blue skies of Pluto at the entire other end of the solar system.
Absolutely beautiful stuff. Absolutely beautiful. So thank you from all of us for giving us that. Okay, well, anyway, Alan, thank you so much for being our guest this evening. It's been wonderful to see you again.
Thanks for having me on, Andy.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just been great, and we did so much want to talk to you with the 20th anniversary. And we say this to all our guests, Alan, if you've got absolutely nothing better to do on a Tuesday evening, we're always here. Just drop in any time if you'd like to spend some time here.
I'm honored to have been here. Thank you.
Just for yours. And we hope that if there are any major discoveries to come out of the data, you'll come back and tell us about them at some point.
I promise. Thank you very much.
All right, then we'll let you go, Alan. Thank you so much again, and we hope to see you again. And all the very best with everything.
Yeah,
thank you.
Thank you, Alan.
Bye, all.
Take good care, Alan.
Bye, Alan. Well, there we are. That was Dr. Alan Stern, principal investigator of the New Horizons mission, celebrating 20 years since launch this month. In January. January the 19th was the 20th anniversary of the launch. So that was great. And we hope to speak to him again at some point. But, he was very much the man who pushed everything forward when NASA weren't interested at all in doing the mission. Okay, well, thank you for your interest, viewers. Let's just have a quick look in the chat. My chat wasn't working earlier. Let's see if it's updated itself. Ah, yes, it has. So just say hello to Stuart, Sandra, nice to see you. Derek, of course. Melinda is there. Hi, Melinda. Heidi was there earlier. Hope she's still there. Fred's here. Kenneth's here. You're all very welcome, and thank you for spending your Tuesday evening with us again. And let's move on. Let's move on now to this week's news. And not many items in the news, but some really interesting ones this week. Just let me set the news up, and we'll have a look at what's been going on. So there we are. Okay, so this is the news for this week, and the first news item I'm particularly pleased about. Now, you may remember that there was a company who wanted to build a hydrogen manufacturing plant in the Atacama Desert in Chile, which was going to destroy the night sky for all of the big observatories there: Paranal Observatory, Vera Rubin, the extremely large telescope when it's finished, and several others. All of that part of the Atacama Desert in Chile is home to the world's biggest observatories. And this company wanted to build a massive hydrogen plant, which would ruin the night skies. Now, you'll be pleased to hear the company, AES Andes, has announced it will withdraw from this industrial mega project. And the European Southern Observatory in particular has welcomed this decision and expects the project to be formally removed from the Environmental Assessment Service in Chile and confirmed that it won't proceed. The Director General of the European Southern Observatory, Xavier Barson, expressed relief at the anticipated cancellation, noting that the complex, because of its proximity to Paranal, would have posed significant threats to the region's exceptionally dark and clear skies. This is the region that has the darkest, clearest, driest skies on the planet. And to think that they could have been destroyed by this industrial complex was just terrible, because ESO had found that the construction and operation could have caused severe and irreparable impacts on the observing environment, including obviously light pollution, but also including micro vibrations, dust, and increased air turbulence, affecting all those telescopes. Oh yes, and of course the Cherenkov telescope array. And the company is a subsidiary of the US-based AES Corporation, and they've chosen to discontinue this project to concentrate on other renewable energy activities. And obviously, ESO emphasized the ongoing importance of protecting dark skies for astronomy and reaffirmed efforts with authorities and the community to safeguard these unique environmental conditions. So this is good news for the world's astronomy. That this obscenity of an industrial plant under the world's clearest, darkest skies is now not going to get built. But of course, you know, they have to be on their guard in case somebody else tries to do something like that. So that's good news. I mentioned this earlier, new discovery about Europa, which I'm sure our planetary scientists here will be quite interested in. Basically, they've analyzed data taken of Europa between 1995 and 2003, and they've uncovered the first evidence of ammonia-bearing compounds on the surface of Europa. These are showing up as faint spectral signals near fractures, ridges, and disrupted terrain, suggesting that material from Europa's subsurface ocean may have reached the surface relatively recently. Now, as you probably know, ammonia is a nitrogen-bearing molecule, and it lowers water's freezing point, so it acts as a sort of antifreeze. And its presence implies dynamic exchange between the interior and surface environments. Because ammonia also degrades quickly in space, its detection near geological features points to recent emplacement rather than ancient deposits. This is significant because nitrogen is a key element for life, as we know. The finding therefore contributes to understanding Europa's chemical inventory, internal processes, and potential habitability. Modern analysis applied to ONS, obviously from NASA's Europa Clipper and Europe's JUICE, which are arriving at the Jupiter system in 2030 and 2031 respectively, to study this ocean water. I wonder whether Dave or Lou have got any comments about this discovery.
Is Dave on?
You there, Dave?
I don't see his picture.
Let me see if I can just quickly have a look and see what's happened to Dave.
Well, in the meantime, one of the big questions, I think, for Europa, with all of this saline water under its ice sheath, one of the big questions is, could there be life in that subterranean ocean? And in terms of conditions for life, one of the things you have to do is you have to provide nutrients. And so that would require, perhaps, some sort of exchange of material between the surface and the ocean. Well, or the subsurface. So here we have something kind of bubbling up, but it implies that there is perhaps a conduit for exchanging material between the surface and the ocean.
Right. Dave, I wonder whether I don't know whether you saw that, Dave, but this is the discovery of ammonia-bearing compounds on the surface of Europa.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, no, I lost the sound completely. I had to reboot and everything. So
Right.
it seems to be working now. So okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can see you and
Yeah.
hear you now.
That's cool. Okay.
Yeah. So this is analysis of old Galileo data, believe it or not. Exactly what we were talking about with Alan, that examining these old data sets can still produce amazing science.
I like to hear that. That's since I spent a good part of my career restoring old data sets and using
Yeah, of course.
the same reasoning, that Alan was using about how with new techniques, with faster computers, data mining, AI, all the various things that you can look at old data and find lots of new stuff. So it's great. I'm always really happy to see stuff like that.
Yeah. And as I was just saying, the fact that, as we know, ammonia doesn't stick around very long, then this ammonia is quite recent on the surface, so it seems to be welling up from the ridges and the cracks from the ocean, which is amazing. Yeah. Okay, so what next? We stay with Europa. Somebody's had a rather brilliant idea. Now, we know that NASA's Juno probe has been orbiting Jupiter for how many years now? I think it's about 7 years, is it? Maybe? Hang on one second.
Sounds about right. I would have to check.
Yeah, so it does have a very powerful radar. One of the things we want to know...
I know where you're going with this.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. One of the things that we want to know is how thick is that ice on Europa? How far down is that ocean? Well, they pointed Juno's radar at Europa to find out, and they've actually been able to measure it. It's a question that we've been asking for a very long time. How thick is the ice on Europa? And it turns out that it's about 18 miles thick, which is on the thicker side of what people were thinking. But estimates did include that, but nobody knew. Now, this is only solid ice. So below that, there may be sort of less solid ice. There may be a gradient. We don't know. But this is amazing that we finally know that if we want to get down into that ocean, we've got to drill through 18 miles of solid ice. So that's a technology for the future, I fear. Although I don't think we could do it today. Maybe not. But we may not need to, of course, because we think that the ocean is oozing out, and indeed venting away into space in plumes, if what the Hubble telescope spotted was correct. So we may not need to get into the ocean.
Or perhaps you just melt your way down. I mean, it wouldn't require that much energy. Because
No, you wouldn't. So just put an electrical heater under the probe and just slowly let it go down 18 miles. Sounds easy, doesn't it?
That's fair.
Yeah. So there we are. So that's good about Europa as well. And we stay with Jupiter, believe it or not. Scientists have developed a new computational model of Jupiter's atmosphere to investigate what's under that thick, opaque cloud layer. And these clouds have made it virtually impossible to penetrate the clouds. It's been very difficult to get an idea, until Juno at least, of what lay underneath. So taking all this data, this new model reveals previously inaccessible structure deep within the atmospheric envelope, offering clues about how its vast storms, jet streams, and internal weather systems operate well below those beautiful cloud tops that we see here in this lovely Juno image. But there's something really surprising. Jupiter appears to contain 1.5 times as much oxygen as the Sun, far more than previous estimates, which suggested it was only about 1/3 as much oxygen. And also, sorry, go on. Sorry, did you say something? No? Okay. The findings also support the prevailing theory that Jupiter formed by accreting icy material billions of years ago near or past the so-called frost line, meaning the distance from the Sun where temperatures are low enough for ammonia, methane, and water ice to form. Much of this oxygen is tied up in water as well, which changes its behavior drastically depending on the temperature, further complicating our efforts to map out Jupiter's layers. The researchers' computational model takes into account both the chemical reactions taking place from extremely hot metal molecules deep inside the core and much cooler regions in its atmosphere, and the movement of gases, clouds, and droplets. Now, this suggests that gases move far more slowly through Jupiter's atmosphere than previously thought. The model suggests the diffusion would have to be 35 to 40 times slower compared to what the assumptions have been. So instead of moving through an atmospheric layer in hours, a single molecule might take several weeks. So there's much slower circulation going on under those clouds of Jupiter than we thought. And it's got a lot more oxygen than we thought, which is really surprising. Of course, it is only a computational model, but if the model is right, then we've just learned something quite extraordinary about Jupiter's atmosphere.
And Andy, you're talking about vertical diffusion, is that right?
Yes, yes, vertical diffusion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
So that's really interesting. And lastly, in the news, bad news about Artemis 2, the live launch of which we were hoping to bring you soon on February the 8th. Bad news, during the wet dress rehearsal, there was a hydrogen leak, again, with the SLS. And this means that the Artemis 2 launch has now been postponed until March at the earliest. And it wasn't just the hydrogen leak. We've seen this before with the SLS. Artemis 1, there seemed to be a lot of leaking hydrogen. Hydrogen is very difficult to contain because, after all, it's the universe's smallest molecule, and it can get out through the absolute tiniest of holes. But they do have a hydrogen leak. In addition, there's a fuel valve that they replaced on the SLS a little while ago, and that sort of failed. And there were some other problems with ground communication, a pressurization valve actually on the Orion module. So they've got quite a few problems to resolve, and this is why it's going to take at least another month, they think, to resolve all these issues. But of course, this is what testing is designed to reveal. Better to find out now than after the launch, I guess. So bad news, we're going to have to wait a bit later to see humans return to the moon, or at least fly around the moon. And we just have to be patient and wish NASA all the best in resolving these issues.
Well, it's only bad news unless you had money riding on this playing the Vegas odds.
Yes. Yeah. That's true.
Good news.
That's absolutely true. I see Daz is trying to get back in, but he seems to have disappeared again. Oh, no,
There he is.
There he is. Hi, Daz. Welcome back. Hope your video's sorted now. I wondered if, when I mentioned Artemis, you might suddenly appear and want to have a bit of a rant about it. So,
well, you know my feeling. It's. I mean, I watched the after the wet dress rehearsal chat by NASA, and it was just more than a hydrogen leak. There was communication on the ground. They had troubles shut in the capsule. I'm concerned about the judgment of sending people out, the shutout crew, the closeout crew, to the gantry when there's actually a leak. I know they say it's only 6% in the area that they were measuring, but 16% is too much. It's for me. Zero should be the limit there.
yeah.
And it's just deja vu. Just lots of.
Yeah.
It just really does bother me. There was no. I mean, of course, with the questioning and stuff like that, nobody mentioned the Orion capsule and the heat shield. As to what's been done about that. So I mean, I'm praying that it goes well, but I just don't want them to be themselves to launch it regardless. We've seen what that's done before. So we've got to.
Yeah, I agree.
Keep clear on the. Yeah, err on the side of caution, because we've been here
here's a question.
before.
Yeah.
Sorry, Michael.
Here's a question for you as well. Just thought about this. They're putting 4 astronauts on the first crewed mission. For instance, the Dragon, Crew Dragon, only had 2 astronauts on that first crewed mission. Why are they doing that? Why don't they send just 2 into an Earth orbit mission, maybe?
That's what they did on
yeah,
Apollo. On Apollo,
Yeah,
that's exactly
yeah.
the kind of thing
You
they
know,
did.
Yeah.
Apollo 9, for instance, doing Apollo
They
9
were,
mission.
Yeah, I mean,
right.
Apollo-
In other words, right. They were
sorry,
Apollo
Apollo
7.
7.
Yeah.
And
They were.
you know,
They were.
Yeah, Apollo 7
Yeah.
was the test bed.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, much as I want this to succeed, as everybody does, and we wish them all the best, but you know, the SLS, I mean, look at it this way, it's just about 4 years since Artemis 1.
Wow.
2022.
Yeah. Wow.
It has been
Right.
4 years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 Amazing, isn't it?
4 years since Artemis 1, and in 4 years they're still experiencing the hydrogen leaks with the SLS.
Yeah.
And you would think in
I-
4 years they would have nailed that.
Mm.
I mean, they launched
they've had
3,
to
Apollo missions. They launched 3 Apollo missions with nobody on them.
That's right.
You know.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
they're doing 1. So, I just can't. I don't like this. And right. And the heat shield. I mean, I was when I saw originally saw the news about it being postponed till March. I almost sort of made a joke. Well, now they have another month to look at the heat shield, but they probably won't. I just don't know.
No, they won't. They won't.
No, it's sat on top of the rocket. So
Yeah.
I mean, I hope I'm wrong. And I hope it's just perfectly safe. But
yeah.
When I heard
like Dad said, deja vu.
when I heard that it had been delayed to March without knowing the cause, I just saw the headline. I just knew it was the hydrogen leaks again. Well, I should have put money on it. I could have put money on that they would experience hydrogen leaks before the launch.
I think
Yeah.
with the budget
Mhm.
constraints, they just ran out. I think they probably just ran out of duct tape.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
all it was.
Yeah, some of that tape
We
they
should-
put around the pipes in plumbing. So, yeah.
If it's a plumbing issue like that, surely they should have fixed that in the factory when the core stage was being built.
Well, you'd think so, wouldn't you? But you know, I mean, all it takes is a daub of super glue on the hole. You know,
That's right.
it's not that
Yeah.
expensive. I paid it myself. So there we are.
I mean,
Anyway,
they reverted to what they did on Artemis 1, where they'd stop refueling and lower the pressures and let the valves warm up again to reseal. Well, you can't keep doing that all the time when you're filling these things up. So it's, I mean, what we've got to remember is the tower virtually had to be rebuilt anyway because it was quite badly damaged, Artemis 1. So
That's right.
this is all new equipment. But fingers crossed anyway. We look to the hope, look forward with hope. And
at
then see
least
how
it
we
should be,
get on.
least it should be warmer in March.
that's true. And let's hope it's not in the middle of the bloody night as well.
Yeah.
So-
I don't think we're going to get away from that though, Andy, unfortunately.
No, probably not.
No.
But whatever the date, whatever the time of day, we will bring you live coverage of the Artemis 2 launch.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on. Viewers, thank you so much for your nice comments about Alan. I shall pass those on to him, and I'm sure he'll appreciate them. And thank you so much. We're going to move on now, and we're going to switch things around this evening because we wanted to get our chat with Alan in before he had to leave. So we're going to go over to Michael now
Hey.
for, believe it or not, a small constellation of the week, probably.
Well,
So-
not necessarily.
Not necessarily. Okay. So constellation of the week from Michael. Go on, Michael. Thrill us. What have we got?
Just bear with me. Let me just share my screen.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you see that?
Yes,
Yeah.
there we are.
Okay.
Yes.
There we are. So
Okay.
now we know. Taurus.
We have Taurus, and I think this is the last of the zodiac constellations we have to do. So
Oh, really?
doing that before it goes out of view in a month's time or so. So this is one of the oldest and most magnificent constellations. So here we go. Okay, Taurus ranks amongst humanity's oldest recognized constellations, with origins tracing back to the early Bronze Age around 3000 BCE. Ancient Sumerians knew it as the bull of heaven. Greek mythology, Zeus transformed himself into a magnificent white bull to abduct the Phoenician princess Europa. The constellation marked the sun's position at the spring equinox in ancient times, symbolizing renewal and the agricultural cycle beginning. Okay, best viewed between November and March, so we've got a few more weeks that you can look at Taurus. Just find the fantastic constellation Orion. Go to the Orion's belt, the 3 stars, and follow those up northwards to you'll come to Aldebaran, Taurus's Alpha star, and you can see the horns of the bull on this diagram from Stellarium. Okay, so main stars. Taurus presents itself through a magnificent V-shaped asterism forming the bull's head and horns. Aldebaran is the Alpha star in Taurus, the brilliant eye of the bull, and orange-red giants shining at magnitude 0.85. Beta Tauri, or Elnath, marks the horn's tip, a blue-white binary star system, also marking the southern point of a neighbouring constellation Auriga, and it apparently used to be known as Gamma Aurigae. But so another important star in Taurus is HP Tauri, which is a T Tauri variable star, and a young and chaotic type of star that is settling into a more sedate phase of stellar life known as the main sequence. Deep sky in Taurus. Everyone will know the Pleiades open cluster, M45, spanning 1.8 degrees of sky, draped in a wispy blue reflection nebula. Easy visible with the naked eye as well. It looks good in binoculars too. Crab Nebula, an ancient supernova from 1054 AD, one of astronomy's most studied objects. I think you needed a pretty good telescope to see that one, really. Probably okay with a sea star, I would have thought. So that's the Crab Nebula. The Hyades cluster is another open cluster forming the bull's distinctive face around Aldebaran. Nearby cluster lies about 150 light years away and contains hundreds of member stars. Also, we have the Crystal Ball Nebula, NGC 1514, a delicate planetary nebula discovered in 1790, visible with modern filters. Its ethereal glow reveals a dying star's final beauty. This is a couple of images of that nebula. One on the left is from the WISE telescope, the Wide Field. I can't remember what the initials mean now.
Special equipment.
Yes. And the other one on the right from the Webb. That amazing detail on the one on the right, I must admit.
Wow.
Yeah. So exoplanets, Taurus contains so far 18 plus exoplanet stars, confirmed planetary systems discovered within Taurus. And there's over 100 young stars potential sites for ongoing planet formation studies. So there could also be new planetary discoveries in the future. There are meteor showers associated with Taurus. Comet NK, ancient comet debris, creates spectacular autumn displays as Earth passes through its orbital path. Late October through early November brings the Taurus meteor shower. And it's also known for brilliant slow-moving meteors that light up the autumn sky. Okay. Timeless celestial ball connecting us to civilizations that gazed upon these same stars millennia ago. From beryllium to Aldebaran to the ethereal Pleiades, showing cosmic beauty, are home to exoplanets, supernova remnants, and windows into stellar evolution. Just before we finish, I'd like to plug a meeting that's coming up this summer. The Federation of Astronomical Societies 2026 convention will be held on Saturday, the 27th of June at Cardiff University. We have it's a full day event at the university. We have three main speakers already booked for that convention. Paul Roche, Professor Mike Lockwood, and Professor Mike Edmonds. That should be a good day. So that's coming up in June. So, and that's it basically.
As it says, tickets available shortly at fedastro.org.uk.
Yeah.
So if you want to get tickets for that, Cardiff would be a good event to go to, I would think. So, so there we are on the 27th of June.
Yeah, but tickets are available to Federation of Astronomical Societies society members first, but to the public from April, I understand.
Fantastic. Thank you, Michael. Thank you very much for that. So there we are. Okay, right. Well, let's now move over to Dave with another fascinating look at weeks of yesteryear.
We hope so. Yeah, we hope so.
We hope so. We hope.
Of yesteryear.
Yeah.
All right, hold on.
So Dave sorted himself out. Viewers, while you're here, don't forget that if you would like to support Space Oddities and the content that we bring you, you can also make a donation directly to Space Oddities by clicking the Super Chat icon, which is the one with the $sign, although you can pay in any currency. We're not fussy. Underneath the chat window. So, you know, your money does help us to maintain Space Oddities and bring you the content that we hope you enjoy. And if you do have anything that you would like to see on Space Oddities, any ideas, anything that you would like us to cover, things that we don't cover, or you think we're covering too much of one thing, tell us your thoughts, suggestions, feedback, death threats, ransom notes, anything like that, then just pop them in an email and send them to info@spaceoddities.space. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment, please, because liking and commenting in particular really does help YouTube notice us in the billions of videos that there are on YouTube, and particularly the comments. And you know, I always say this, that if you could just leave some sort of comment, and we'll leave that entirely up to you, on the video, that will be fantastic, because the more activity there is around a video, the more discussion there is, the more YouTube says, oh, that's worth showing to people. So so please do leave a comment, do leave a like, and your support is, as always, greatly appreciated. So Dave, over to you.
My screen is supposed to be sharing, and obviously it's not. It thinks it is.
Yes, it is. Just let me have a look here and see whether I can see. Right. Okay.
I did upload it.
Right. It's coming up
again.
Oh,
Whoa,
no,
whoa,
it's there.
whoa.
There we are.
Came up.
It's there.
Okay. Wow. It just, I don't know why. It sat there the whole time you were talking, pretty much. It sat there thinking it was sharing. Okay. Well, all right. Anyway, here we are, February 1 through 7. So back to what we were just talking about, I guess, and also just like last week, we begin with a very sad memory, historical event. February 1st, 2003 was the Space Shuttle Columbia. It means within 6 calendar days were the 3 biggest spaceflight related tragedies in United States history. This particular one, actually, Lou was the one who told me about it when it happened. I was with him, and I don't know if you remember, Lou, but I was with you at your daughter's birthday party. It was a pool party, and you heard it, or I'm not sure exactly how you found out about it, and you told me, you said, "Oh my God, Dave, you won't believe this." That's how I found out about it. But yes, anyway, it's pay attention to this stuff, because I do feel, and Daz mentioned and many of you mentioned that we're walking on a thin line right now, a tightrope, and I just don't like it. But okay, let's hope I'm just being a worrywart.
Can I just say, Dave?
Yes.
On that mission, I was actually watching the landing over the internet on NASA TV at home.
Oh my gosh!
It was on the Saturday, the 1st of February. I can't believe it. I still remember it to this day. It's something you can't forget.
Just waiting, right, and waiting for and nothing happening. Oh my gosh!
When they were trying to send the the communications to Columbia, it was just heartbreaking, really.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes. Anyway, let's hope that's the last of we. Yes. All right. Oh, right. So, all right. February 2nd, 1964, Ranger 6 impacted the moon, but unfortunately, everything worked up until they turned the camera on and nothing happened. So the cameras just never turned on.
Oh.
This is an amazing thing to think about now, because this was the 6th Ranger in a row that failed. Now, and so here are the other ones listed: 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 failed for various reasons. In other words, Ranger 6 was the most successful out of them, and returned no data. But amazing to think a mission, a series of missions, 6 failures, and they still went on with a Ranger 7. And to picture that happening today is, it's unbelievable. It tells you something about how serious the space race was. It really almost cost JPL their entire connection with NASA, because NASA was about to give up on them after the 6th failure, and somehow they managed to get another one, and then the last 7, 8, and 9, last 3 were immensely successful missions, and gave us those amazing pictures of just as they plunged down to the moon. These are the ones that just took the pictures as they went down until they smashed into the surface. So you've got these these great close-up pictures of the moon. But this was the last one that did not work anyway. February 2nd. February 3rd, okay, so irony of ironies. Here we are today. 27 years ago today.
Oh, dear.
Yep. Maybe it's good Alan's not here. I don't know what he would thought. But in any case, February 3rd, the IAU released a statement, because there was a lot of rumor going around that they were talking about demoting Pluto, or all sorts of things, which obviously did end up happening. But at the time, this was not going to happen, and they actually released a report saying, no, we have no plans to demote Pluto. So there you go. I don't even know what to add to that, but there you go.
No, what can you add?
Yep. February 5th, Apollo 14. Okay, third spacecraft to the moon. Interesting, because of course, following right on the heels of, well, not on the heels, actually there was a long break between Apollo 13 and Apollo 14 while they made sure they got everything fixed up. But it was the next mission, and it actually did garner quite a bit of interest, because everyone wanted to make sure it worked, obviously, and so everyone was kind of watching with their, with their fingers crossed and chewing on their fingernails. But it did work fine, and a couple of the events that happened that were interesting, where they did, which they did on all the subsequent Apollos too. The Saturn S4 stage was intentionally crashed on the moon as a seismic source, and the same thing on February 7th, the lunar module ascent stage, after they left the moon, they intentionally crashed that onto the surface. Either they made great seismic sources because they knew the velocities and the masses, and basically the points of impact, and so they could it helped calibrate the seismometers. It was also the mission where Stuart Roosa, the command module pilot, brought the moon tree seeds with him, which were seeds they collected, brought up to the moon, came back to Earth, and planted all over the United States for the bicentennial. And maybe one of these days I'll tell you all about that, because I was involved in that much later on, and it was a lot of fun. And the picture, by the way, is the Saturn, the 4B stage impact, which was seen by the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter. Is that picture on the right? Okay, February 5th, Mariner 10 flies by Venus. This was interesting. I thought we talked about the Jupiter gravity assist for New Horizons, and this was the very first gravity assist ever done. Was Mariner 10 flying by Venus and using a Venus gravity assist to help make it its way to Mercury. Really help slow it down, unlike most of the missions where they use it to slingshot it out into the solar system. This one just to try to slow it down to get it to be able to get closer to the sun, which is really hard to do. Okay, a couple more things. February 5th, the Lunar Orbiter 3 moon mapping mission. The Beagle 2 was declared lost on February 6th, which was too bad. This was the lander, the British ESA Mars lander, and unfortunately did not survive the landing, apparently. And we launched the Stardust Coma sample return mission to Comet P-Wild 2 on February 7th in 1999. And I thought, one more thing, just come up with a little more off the wall kind of thing for this, for historical purposes. On February 2nd was the first official rocket mail. So Friedrich Schmeidel, I hope that's pronounced right, launched a rocket from Schachel, Austria, which contained 102 letters. It actually had a remote and a parachute, and it kind of shot over the mountains and landed at Saint Radegund. Wow. Yeah, with the 102 letters. Survived. Yep, and the letters. The letters are still they're still out there. I mean, that's you can see a picture of one of them. They are big collector's items. But this was the first official. They had special stamps for them and everything, and the first official rocket mail. Among some quarters, is thought this might be the wave of the future for mail, but obviously,
yeah,
a lot of problems.
Well, when it has a name like Rakuten Flag Post, I think
right.
I'm sure they tried that in Scotland with the islands as well.
What, following the islands?
Yeah, rocket mail. Yeah, I'm sure they did.
Yeah. Anyway, it was tried in various places. This was sort of the first official, government sanctioned, Austrian sanctioned rocket mail. But it's it's interesting. Anyway, I thought it was really a fascinating.
It is interesting. I've never heard of that. I'm going to look into that. That sounds a fascinating story. Okay, anyway, before you go any further. Before we get away from the moon so much, Fred had a question. Just let me find out. Fred says there was a von Karman talk, and the leader said that failures, when you're talking about Ranger, were from ridiculous requirements requiring the hardware be sterilized to not contaminate the moon. Maybe it was Ranger.
Oh, that's interesting. I hadn't heard that, doubtful all 6 failures, especially because the first few were just were supposed to be test flights. Even those were maybe supposed to go to the moon. Actually, okay. Well, I don't know. That's interesting. That's an interesting thought. Yeah. I think a lot of it was, this was just new stuff. I mean, we'd never gotten anything to the moon, and suddenly there was this big push to do it. But that's an all right. I'll have to look at that. That's an interesting thought. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you for that, Fred. And Elena says, don't know if demoted is the correct word for Pluto. I used to say reclassify. After all, solar system is much more than major planets. It's comets, asteroids, centaurs, dust, gas, solar wind. Absolutely, Lena. And I completely agree with you. I never say it's demoted. I just say it's reclassified. I'll tell you what I think, if you're interested. We have a need to do things like this. And the reason we have a need to do things like this is because we are discovering so many planets orbiting other stars that we need a definite and defined classification system, because otherwise it's just going to get out of hand. So I can certainly appreciate that we do need to classify these objects a little more tightly, because, you know, with so many, what is it, 6,000 exoplanets discovered now, we do need a good classification system so that everybody knows what we're talking about. So that's my take on it.
Can I just
Yes.
jump in
Yeah.
on that, Andy? Sorry, can I just jump in
Yeah.
on that? When they did the reclassification to recategorize Pluto, originally it was a chap called Brian Marsden, who was an astronomer who wanted it demoted, but he seems to have sort of like a bit of an angst with what's his name, the chap who he seemed to have a bit of an angst with him, and this is why it all started, because he corresponded with him and said he was going to get it demoted, but he wanted it asteroid.
Right.
But also when they did the reclassification, one of the classifications is that the must, and this is a wording problem, must orbit our sun, which basically means that any planet orbiting another star or anything like that cannot be a planet. So it's so ambiguous.
Well,
and it was
that's what we have exoplanet for, right?
Yeah,
why I have
exactly. This
exoplanet, is that, I guess.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it can't be a planet because it doesn't orbit our. And it's those things. I mean, there is a debate about if it was one big stitch up, because only 4%, because it was in Prague the other day that they had the vote,
Right.
and it was the last day, and literally there was only
Right.
4% of the international astronomical members actually still present, and they were the ones who voted. Right. So it was only 4% of the members who voted. So it is what it is. You have to choose a side. So leave it at that.
Yeah.
No, I agree. You know, demoted maybe isn't the right word, although that's, I think, how a lot of people view it. But that's well, especially at the time, I know it was, you know, almost a big joke, you know, sort of like, oh, Pluto, you know, got kicked out of the club. But you're right. I mean, obviously, scientifically, you're correct, right? It's been reclassified. I do remember when they started discovering larger objects out in the Kuiper Belt. I remember thinking at that time that now they're going to have to figure out what to do, because if they start discovering hundreds of things, they can't be planets. You know, that just messes everything up. But what what are they going to do? Although I think they kind of did the inverse problem with Pluto. I think they said, no, look, Pluto's not a planet, and we have to come up with something that makes it not a planet without knocking anything else out of being a planet. But you know, I don't know. Anyway, I kind of got that feeling that was at least part of the reason. But again, it does, you know what? It doesn't matter. It's still Pluto. It's still a body, and same with everything else. It doesn't really matter what you call it that much.
No, absolutely. But even the way we're classifying exoplanets has got some big holes in it, as far as I'm concerned.
That's
we've
probably
got super Earths, we've got super Neptunes, we've got these watery Hycean worlds, which now doesn't appear to be a valid classification at all. They don't actually exist. So it's all a bit of a mess. But you know, these things are so difficult to get right, and you're not going to please everybody. So, you know, it may not matter to 99.999999999% of the general public, but you know, as scientists or people who use the scientific method, shall we say, we you know, these things do matter. Classifying things do matter. So there we are. All right then, David. Is there any more, or was that
That's
last
it.
one?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Okay,
Nice.
thank you so much, Dave. That's very kind. And there we are. And I'm sure Dave hopefully will be back next week with some more blasts from the past.
Yep.
So there we are. So thank you for that. All right, what we're going to do now is go over to Roger for our weekly look at the night sky, and of course the always greatly anticipated viewers gallery. So we'll say over to you, Roger.
Good evening from me.
And if you're wondering how he's managed to say that without moving his lips, he's not been taking a course in ventriloquism. Roger's video is ahead of his mouth, basically. So apologies for that. It's a problem at his end, we think. So anyway, but it won't affect the look at the night sky, I'm sure. So let's have a look and say, as we always do, what's in the night sky, Roger?
There's nothing wrong with my end, I beg your pardon.
Well, that's a matter of opinion.
Depends what viewpoint you're looking at. Okay, right.
Mose
Okay,
Allison
so we're
said your mind's on vacation and your mouth is working overtime. It's a famous jazz song. All right, anyhow.
Okay, so we're on the first whole week in February now, and we've come away from the first full moon, which was categorized as a snow moon in the US, and we're now working our way to the last quarter over in a week's time. So things might be a bit less brighter in the sky if there was a sky to be looked at. But obviously looking at the southern viewpoint of the night sky, and we are seeing the beautiful constellation of Orion. This is at 10 p.m. on the latter part of the week. And we do have the moon coming over through into Gemini, where we've also got the Jupiter as well. And we've got Saturn slowly sulking away in the western skies. So there we go. But we also have Uranus in Taurus, just down below the Pleiades. So there's a link to the week there. And after sunrise, we do have Mars coming up slightly ahead. And we've got Venus and Mercury trailing behind. And as you see on the right-hand illustration, we do get to see it, Venus and Mercury very briefly, although they are still quite close to the sun. So it might be a bit of a challenge for people to see it. But if you look very carefully, you might just see Venus, but it will separate more and more as the month progresses. So it will become a bit more obvious as an evening object after sunset. And just to look out for any zodiacal lights that you might happen to spot. But obviously we will need to make sure that we do have less moon glow in the night sky. So probably less to leave for about another fortnight, I would have thought. And as I was saying earlier, we've got Uranus still up. It is below the Pleiades, so have a look for that if you want to. We've also got Spica coming out through with a opportunity for a close conjunction with the moon on February the 6th. So that is just a few more days away. We've also got a little meteor shower. When I say little, we've got up to 6 meteors an hour. So that might be a bit of a challenge, but the moon glow might not help. But we won't see it as much as we could do if we were in the southern hemisphere, but it will be visible low down in the south, should you be fortunate to capture one of those objects coming through. And obviously we've got the latter part of the week, we've got the last quarter of the moon. And we do have a conjunction here with the moon and Spica on the 6th, and then we've also got Mercury and Venus coming close together as well, with the moon and Saturn in the pre-dawn skies. So
Wonderful.
a few opportunities there. So we've got during sunrise and sunset, we've got Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Mercury, and Venus. Although they're all not optimally placed for perfect viewing, but they are up there in the sky. So later on in a week or so, there will be a annular eclipse on February the 17th, but that will probably be more visible if you happen to pop down to Antarctica. So not very handy for us here in the United Kingdom, but just a heads up that there is one on February the 17th, and we've got some planetary conjunctions with the Moon, Venus, Mercury, and Saturn coming up in about a week or two's time. So it's another little opportunity to try and get something into the gallery if we get any clear skies. But we do have some interesting activity on the sun. I don't know whether Des might mention this, but we've had an awful lot of activity. If you look at the illustration on the left, from AR 366. I've been getting alerts almost every 40 minutes or so yesterday to say how much this activity is going, and going out to M class and X class flarings out from there. So it's been quite a spectacular set of sunspots, and it seems to be spreading and growing as it comes across the surface there as well.
Yeah.
So there might be an opportunity for some aurora, but we shall see. It just depends on where it actually went once it came over to the over around the orbit of the Earth here. So, okay, so we do have a gallery for tonight, a little bit moon-based, but there we go. We've got a few from Kenneth. This was shot on a Xiaomi 15 Ultra mobile phone.
Oh,
And this was what he managed to get.
wow. That's a mobile phone.
Lovely.
That's a mobile phone.
Wow.
He had a look at it, and it's the one that had the Leica lenses on it. So that's
Oh, yeah, I
know
know
the
one you
reasons
mean,
why I got
yeah.
it.
That's stunning.
And he's managed to get some of the mineral colours on the image as well.
Yeah. Lovely, Kenneth. Well done. Excellent
Yeah.
shot.
So while he got that, he also got another picture with his Olympus Micro Four Thirds with a 100 to 400 and a 2x teleconverter, and this was what he managed to get with that.
Wow.
Oh,
Look at
oh,
that.
geez.
Superb lens.
Stunning.
Well, this is why he sold some of his telescope stuff, because he was getting better results with his little DSLR.
Bad news for the telescope market. Yes.
Got some,
The bottom's
some
dropped out
amazing
now.
details there. Yeah. If people weren't getting fed up with waiting for a clear sky. So we've got the Rosette Nebula from Jerry DeLay, and he says he's got with the animals at the bottom of the image. So there we go. I can sort of see what he means. Shapes of the darker cloud particles there. Sort of looks like some animals running across. It's what the people interpret it. Yes, Loch Ness hanging over on the right hand side, coming down. Very
looks
nice.
like Loch Ness.
It's beautiful. It's
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Beautiful. Superb.
And oh dear, we got some pictures of the moon from me. Oh dear. So this was just a few days ago with my Skywatcher 180 Mac, and I just did some close-ups here of some of the details, just to try and get some interesting close-ups.
That's stunning.
So we've got the one on the left is Copernicus. We've got Sinus Iridium in the center there, and then we've got Tycho and Clavius over on the right-hand side.
Superb. Absolutely.
Lovely. Another 20 years, you'll have the hang of this.
Yeah, definitely. Work in progress.
Yeah.
And that's what we have for this week's gallery and the night sky.
Yeah.
Thank you
That's
very much
fantastic.
indeed,
Thanks for
Roger.
that.
Very nice. Very
Can I
nice.
just say, as regards you were talking about the sun, yeah, AR 4366 onto the limb around about the 31st. Ever since it's come onto the limb, been literally firing off, constant gun, literally, M class and X class flares. In sort of, what was it? I can't remember now. 42 72 or something. It's off about 20 odd flares, 20 plus flares. And the information from they usually classify or list as over M2. Well, they've had to up that to M because it's firing off so many that they can't fit it on the list. And the last 3 days it's been firing off all the time, and we've probably got about another 5-6 days of it to carry on. So, and there is possibly a warning. So just be possible, maybe remember, there's lots of things that got to line up for between the night of the 5th and the morning of 6th for auroras in mid latitudes.
Thank you, Daz. Thank you. Okay, follow up from Fred, Dave. He's looked it up in Grok, of course, and in reference to range emission failures, Rolf Hallstrup, in charge of the sterilization program at JPL, vocally objected to the procedure. So there we are.
Okay. Well, they didn't know though. I mean, even the first Apollo missions, they put the astronauts in quarantine because they were worried about that they might bring something back from the moon. It was, it became pretty obvious pretty quickly that there was nothing, that they didn't have to worry about contamination in either direction because nothing was going to survive on the moon, and obviously nothing was there already to come back. But that's interesting. It's okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
The sterilization is that's fascinating.
Although there may be a few tardigrades loose on the moon, of course.
Yeah, I was just going to say. Just going to say the
Yeah.
tardigrades that the Israelis put on there, and it, of course, bleaching a wire brush on electronic pieces doesn't really go well, does it? So give it a grub,
No,
So,
it doesn't. It doesn't. Okay.
Well, you were joking about melting down to the ocean of Europa, but that's a major concern. Is
Yes.
getting a sample from Europa without contaminating not only the sample but possibly the entire body. If something actually could survive there, and then we'd go there later on and find life there and we'd never know if it was from Earth or it actually was there to begin with. So it's a major problem for these bodies where there is they're habitable at some level. Obviously not the moon, but some of these other bodies.
That's why they
it's
crashed
a worry.
Cassini. Sorry.
Right. Exactly.
Sorry, that's why they crashed Cassini for that reason.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, indeed. So just before we finish off with Einstein of the Week for this week, guys, just a reminder, join our Patreon page and support Space Oddities for just a few pounds a month. You can get to support Space Oddities and you get some goodies, all sorts of stuff on there. And you should head over to patreon.com/Space Oddities. Very easy
Some new
indeed. We'd
bits
love
on
to
there
see
as
you.
well. Yeah, there's some new videos on there as well.
Yeah, so you join our Patreon, you get our videos, you get our presentations, and you get a lot of stuff from us. And we're very grateful to all of our Patreon members for their continued support. Thank you so much for that. So head over to patreon.com/Space Oddities and support Space Oddities. Keep us going. And in May, we will be having our 4th anniversary of Space Oddities. I can't believe it's been nearly 4 years. But it is. I know I don't look a day older. I can't speak for the rest, but certainly, we didn't think when we started Space Oddities that we'd still be here 4 years later. But we'll work out some sort of big celebration for May for our 4th anniversary.
And I totally agree, Andy. You don't look a day older, probably a decade. So yeah.
Yeah, probably.
We could maybe do do a quiz and use the Alan Stern book as the prize.
Yeah, we will certainly consider that.
Yeah.
But viewers, it's all thanks to you. We could not do this without you. Your continued support keeps us going, and we're very, very grateful for any donations or purchases for merchandise and stuff that you can spare. And, you know, we are very, very grateful, obviously. Right. Okay. Well, let's do it then. We come to that point of the week for Einstein of the week. Now, you may remember last week we had the curious tale of the demonic optics, which I think threw us all off a bit, really. We didn't think that it could be beaten in terms of sheer absurdity. But this week, I think we've got a few contenders for most absurd Einstein of the week. So let's just get that up for you. And we will go with Einstein of the week, our weekly delve into the nether regions of the stupidity on the internet. And here we go. Just let me get to where I need to be. And we will proceed. So Einstein of the week this week. So what's CERN up to? Well, CERN is undergoing major upgrades, and they're going to be switching it off for a while to make it even more powerful and allow them particularly to greatly increase the number of collisions that they do in the accelerator, which will turn up hopefully some new science. But of course, on social media, that's not at all what CERN is up to. What's CERN up to? This is not a joke. This is not a game. I don't think people understand what CERN is doing in 2030. They aren't turning it back off. It will be running 24/7 a week. This creates an endless time loop, so you get to live the same day over and over while they play weather manipulation to simulate seasons, the snow that burns, and etc., chemical weather. Why would they do this? To make a loop where God can't intervene for longer.
Finally, a rational comment.
Oh no! Oh. So they're creating Groundhog Day.
Yes, I knew you were going to say that. Yeah,
You know,
Right.
when you said CERN was going to be turned off for a while, I thought perhaps it was renamed to the Trump CERN Super Collider.
Well, that's
Perhaps
just
ran out of
wait.
funding.
Just wait.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Just wait.
yeah. There was somebody moaning and moaning on the internet about the fact the American government should not be spending money on this, and how dare they use their tax dollars for this. And I just pointed out this has got nothing to do with the US. This is a European project. So
And we had our chance, right?
you
Yes,
have
we
a-
did.
Yes. You also had your chance to participate in the square kilometer array, and you blew that as well.
Mhm.
So
Well,
so there we are.
we need more. Never mind.
Yeah,
We
never
could have
mind.
gone to Halley's
What?
Comet, all sorts of things. Yep.
Yeah. What I love about this is the idea that God, who is supposedly this omnipotent, all-seeing being, will be put off by a few scientists at CERN. Not particularly omnipotent then. So there we are. Okay, moving on.
Okay.
What's the aurora? Well, we've had a number of people trying to define what the aurora is all about. Here's part 97, or so it seems. The aurora is proof of the firmament.
Oh, yeah.
Aluminum, or more correctly, aluminium, blocks Doppler radar. The military is bombing the Sky Dome. They spray chemtrails first and let them spread out to create a veil so you cannot see their missiles going into the firmament. Space is fake. NASA is just a continuation of what was going on at the Tower of Babel, or Babel, whatever you choose. They were building a tower to heaven because heaven can be reached. See my testimony I have pinned to my Instagram page.
I think I'll give that a miss.
Yeah, I was tempted, and I thought, no, I value my sanity too much to go into that. So now you know what the
I
aurora.
mean, you got to take your hat off. Take your hat off to them.
Yeah.
They're so way out there. It's and to come up with these ideas. I mean, you know, fair play to them, but they're wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be their tinfoil hats, presumably.
Yeah.
It's
Where do you find this stuff? This is incredible.
I know.
Well, and I love space is fake,
Yeah.
which means what? What is there's what's there then? I don't understand.
Oh well, you see, I've unfortunately had to get to know these things because of
Oh,
because I put myself through this for you viewers every week, and it's flat earthers. They think that there's this thing called the firmament. The word firmament, of course, as we know, simply means sky. It's another word for sky. But they think it's something solid surrounding the Earth, and there's nothing outside, and therefore space is fake. Everything that we see in the sky is actually inside the atmosphere, like the sun and the moon and the stars and everything else, all inside the atmosphere. This is what they believe.
okay.
Yeah.
So we're trying to break our way through this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
With these missiles.
Yeah, because I mean,
Gotcha.
Roger's picture of the lunar eclipse actually and the Earth on balloons. So is there something Roger's trying to tell us?
They just float in front of
Yes,
each other.
that's right.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Okay. So moving on. Frozen animals. God created the ice sheets with adult animals already frozen in the ice. He also tampered with the oxygen levels in the air bubbles to make Earth appear far older just to test our faith.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Nice one.
There's a lot of religion in these three
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit
native,
of a week.
whatever they are.
Animals.
Yeah. So there we are. Now you know God created the ice sheets with frozen animals in it.
See, I thought it was Satan who did this stuff to trick us, like put fossils in the rocks and stuff. But is it God now? I guess he's
God, Satan. What's the difference? To be honest. Yeah. There we are. So there we are. And 3-eye Atlas angles. We haven't run up against people's perception of 3-eye Atlas in a while, but we have now. 3-eye Atlas is speaking to us by angles. I think it's probably meant to be angels. Who knows with this? Rhythm, rhyme, planetary alignments in one creation, divine, code language, less than 3, 7 sum, pyramid code, 3 Da Vinci code, Nikola Tesla code language, 1 greater than 3 greater than 7 sum, I am 3-eye Atlas, has gotten my name all over it, finally. Trismegistus 3 times 3, Atlantis technology, Babylon technology, Tesla Tower technology, Lucifer, library logos, DNA mind 369, unbound. So there you are. Now you might think that had been generated by AI or some sort of random word generator, but having looked into it, no, this person genuinely is posting lots of stuff like that, and I made not a particularly helpful comment on this, and she replied to me with something equally incomprehensible. So there you are. Now we know.
It's way over my head, Dave. I have to hand this off to you.
Yep. This looks like familiar, like maybe some of the emails I've gotten when I was at NASA. Yeah.
Which you must share with us one day, Dave.
Come on, Dave.
Yeah,
I don't know if I can get them now, but I will try.
Call Ed. I won't say I won't say the last name for Ed.
Yep.
Okay, so and then lastly, I think it's the last one. Knowledge is power. I think we'd all agree with that. Yeah?
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Well, what about this? The Earth is flat. Outer space is fake. Dinosaurs are a hoax. Evolution is a lie. Vaccines are genocide. Gravity doesn't exist. The Earth is motionless. Water doesn't curve. Sea level is horizontal. Earth is measured flat. Government is mind control. Earth-based Coriolis is a lie. Public education is indoctrination. Heliocentrism is a cult belief. Knowledge is power. Now that gets a 100 on the embarrassment meter. So that is just.
That qualifies.
What can you say?
Somebody missed the medication trolley.
Leave that up for a second. I want to copy that. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Show my class today, just in case they have any allusion. What's going on?
Yeah.
Yeah,
of the
definitely.
meds.
Yeah, public education is indoctrination, but knowledge is power. Work that one out. So,
Mm.
so there we are. So that's the definite 100 on the embarrassment meter. So there we are. Okay, and that's it for Einstein for this week. So there we are. What a weird week, eh?
You really outdid yourself today, Andy.
Yeah, you
Or someone did.
I did. A great thank you to all the morons on Facebook for their contributions to that.
Yeah.
So there we are. All right, then. We're going to wrap things up for this evening. Thank you, as ever, for sticking with us. Thank you for your warm reception that you gave to Dr. Alan Stern. It was absolutely fascinating and quite wonderful speaking to him again. And Alan is always so enthusiastic and proud, as he should be, that he and his team pulled off the historic Pluto encounter. And we wish him all the best. And we hope to get more science out of the Pluto data. And if so, we will bring it to you, as we always do.
He's also consistently very gracious. He always gives credit to his team.
Yes. Yeah, I noticed that too. You're right. That was, yes.
He is very much a team player. And if you were going to be working on a team, well, if I were working on a team doing that, I definitely want Alan Stern at the head of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. Most definitely. The guy's amazing. And don't forget to buy his book.
I was looking for the book on Amazon, and it looks like it's out of print.
Is it really?
Yeah,
I bought it. I just bought it, when we were talking.
Okay. Well, that was on Amazon UK. So,
okay, there,
might be. Yeah, might be that.
Okay, if you can't find it on Amazon UK, try Amazon US. But it really is a fantastic book, and it's a real roller coaster of a book because it details all the trials and tribulations of getting the mission launched. So there we are. Nice. All right then. So next week we will be bringing you more wacky, wonderful tales from the incredible cosmos, and there we are. There's proof chasing new horizons. Indeed.
Yeah. Okay.
And what's the price of it on Amazon US, Lou?
Different prices. It says if you get the Kindle version, it's $12. Audiobook is $1 credit. Hardcover is $30. Paperback's $19.
Oh. Yeah. When did paperbacks get so expensive?
I was looking for some right around the time they started selling bottled water.
Yeah, all I can find on Amazon UK is used copies.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So there we are. But buy a new copy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we will definitely considering offering a copy as a prize for our next quiz.
I'll keep looking.
Yeah. So there we are. So next week, as I said, we will be bringing you more stuff. Not quite sure what yet. We haven't got it quite planned yet, but we will ask you, of course, to keep an eye on the channel. We will be back same time next week, 8 o'clock UK, on the YouTube channel. And don't forget, like, subscribe, and comment if you would be so kind, because it really, really helps us get noticed on YouTube. And there we are. And we would like to thank you all for being here this evening. So have a fantastic week, viewers. Look after each other. Take care. Have a great week. And we will see you back here next week on Space Oddities. And thank you to Lou, to Dave, to Michael, to Roger, to Daz for being here tonight. And as I said, a very special thank you to Dr. Alan Stern.
We'll see you that's Amazon. I don't know if you can see it.
Right.
Oops.
It says hardback.
Okay.
That's the UK.
All right, I'll have a look.
There we are. Yeah.
All right.